Hello and welcome to grammar class. Today's lesson is how to change assertive sentences from direct to indirect speech. As you know, the direct narration reports the speaker's statement in his actual or exact words under quotation marks, and this original statement of the speaker is known as the reported speech. And if the reported speech has one or more assertive sentences, some special rules are followed for changing them to indirect speech. And these special rules are in addition to the general rules followed for the change of narration, including the change of person, the change of tense, and the change of other parts of speech. I recommend you to watch my previous video on narration, part 1, for the general rules of the change of narration. She says, I cook very well is an example of direct speech. Here, the statement I cook very well is called the reported speech. Here, I cook very well is an assertive sentence in the reported speech. Now, in order to change it to indirect speech, the comma before the reported speech and the inverted commas are first removed, and the connective or conjunction that is used to join the two clauses. So in indirect speech we have, she says that she cooks very well. Sometimes, especially in spoken English, the connective that is omitted. Another special rule is that if the reported speech has an assertive sentence, the reporting verb say becomes tell if it has an object or a reporting object to it. However, in case the reporting verb say has no object to it, in indirect speech it does not change to tell. For example, I said to him, I am busy. This is direct speech. Here the reporting verb said has a reporting object him. So in indirect speech, the reporting verb said, which is in the past tense, will be changed to told. I told him that I was busy. Now there may be two or more assertive sentences in the reported speech. In such a case, the reporting verb say or tell, as the case may be, is used only once for the first assertive sentence, and the other sentences are added using the expression and that. As an example, he said to me, it is raining heavily, the roads are waterlogged, so people are indoors. Here, as you can see, the reported speech has three assertive sentences. So in indirect speech we have, he told me that it was raining heavily and that the roads were waterlogged and so people were indoors. The second and the third sentences are here added using the expression and that. Here we have made all the necessary changes. For example, the reporting verb said has become told because of the reporting object me, and the tenses of the reported verbs have also been changed to their corresponding past tenses in accordance with the general rules. Sometimes, however, the expressions and that or further added that, etc. are avoided. And if the reported speech has two or more assertive sentences in it, they are all reported or treated individually. For example, he told me that it was raining heavily, the roads were waterlogged, so people were indoors. Sometimes in reported speech, we have a common noun in case of address or vocative case. In such a case, in indirect speech, we use the expression address as before the reporting verb. For example, the old man said to me, my son, I'll tell you the secret of my success. Here in the reported speech, the common noun son is in the case of address. So in indirect speech, we'll use the expression addressed me as. The old man addressed me as his son and said that he would tell me the secret of his happiness. If the reported speech has a case of address that indicates praise or reproach, in indirect speech we may use the expression call before it. In other words, the verb call is used to report the case of address in indirect speech. He said to Paul, fool, you are talking silly. Here, fool is the case of address in the reported speech. So in indirect speech we have he called Paul a fool and said that he was talking silly. In the same way, he said to me, young man, I like your spirit. Here in the reported speech, the expression young man is in the case of address. So in indirect speech, we report this case of address as he called me a young man and said that he liked my spirit. Now let's look at some miscellaneous examples. I said to him, good morning, I am glad to see you. If we have greetings like good morning, good evening, etc. in the reported speech, we use the verbs wish or bid in indirect speech. I wished or bade him good morning and said that I was glad to see him. Bade is the past tense of bid. If there is a respectful address such as sir or madam in the reported speech, we remove it in indirect speech and use the adverb respectfully instead. For example, the child said to the teacher, sir, I will try my best. We will change the narration as the child respectfully told the teacher that he would try his best. The adverb respectfully has replaced the word sir in indirect speech. When I asked John if he was interested in the project, he said yes or no. If the reported speech has the word yes or no, we remove it in indirect speech. When I asked John if he was interested in the project, he said that he was, or he said that he was not, or he replied in the affirmative, or he replied in the negative. So clearly we remove the word yes or no in the indirect speech and use the phrases replied in the affirmative for yes and replied in the negative for no. Sometimes the reported speech has expressions like oh, well, you see, etc. And these expressions are also omitted in indirect narration. For example, I said to him, well, it's none of your business. So the direct speech has the word well, which does not make any difference to the meaning. So in indirect speech, we will not use this word. I told him that it was none of his business. Sometimes we see that the reported speech comes before the principal clause containing the reporting verb. This is done to shift the focus to the statement rather than the speaker. For example, the beggar is hungry, my mother said. But in indirect speech, the principal clause containing the reporting verb comes first. My mother said that the beggar was hungry. It is also common to see that the reported speech is split into two parts with the principal clause coming in between. For example, I have, said my father to me, warned you many times before. Here the reported speech is I have warned you many times before. But here too in indirect speech we have the principal clause first. Father told me that he had warned me many times before. So you see, this is how assertive sentences in reported speech are changed to indirect speech. You have to follow both the general rules for change of narration and the special rules for assertive sentences. If you liked this video, please be sure to like, comment, share and subscribe to my channel for more grammar videos. Thank you so much for watching the video until the end.